Therefore, white privilege is a lie. I've asked you very simply to show me the white person that has privilege over me. Nobody stood up. Do you think you have privilege over me?
Yes.
You're crazy. You're insane. Let's make this absolutely positively clear. You have no privilege over me, and if you got it, show it to me right now. I'll make you responsible for what you did. I'm not going to hold you responsible for what somebody else did 100 years ago or what somebody else did today. I hold you responsible for your action. You hold me responsible for my action.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope all's good wherever you are. In this video, we have our boy Vince Ellison. This was from the latest Young America Foundation event, making white liberal students cry. You can't make this stuff up. This video gets wild. As usual, guys, the timestamps for these debates are all in the description. Skip to the part that you like. Let's get it.
I would like to preface my question with a couple of words from a fellow American and a fellow Christian myself. So I would like to open with a verse from Leviticus 19, verse 15. It says, "You shall not do injustice in court. You shall not be partial to the poor or defer to the great, but in righteousness shall you judge your neighbor." And that, to me, relates to the institution of white privilege and what the liberalists claim that it is. It is not to put white people above. It is not to bring black people down. It is to judge what wrong has been done in the past by white people so we can learn from our mistakes and move forward in this country. And so I am going to be blunt, since you were advocating for violence, such as your example with hanging and Muhammad Ali. I just want to know, what is the point in spreading blatant lies, as you referred to before, such as like the liberals were taking over the government to elect black or like liberals en masse. I mean, if you look at our Congress today, it is 70% white. I just want to know why.
Well, that's not a lie, because if you look at the black community, which is what I'm talking about, almost 100% of our representation are liberal. When you go to any city, any majority black district, the person that represents that area is a liberal. So when you're talking about a lie, you obviously don't know what you're talking about, because that's a fact. It's not a lie. Also, when you start talking about what white people have done to America, it's about what a white person has done. I don't believe in collective punishment. I'll make you responsible for what you did. I'm not going to hold you responsible for what somebody else did 100 years ago or what somebody else did today. I hold you responsible for your action. You hold me responsible for my action. In the same way that some white people believe that black people are lazy, shiftless, and ignorant and whatnot, that's not me. In the same way that most of y'all believe they're on their knees begging and slobbering and asking for reparations, that's not me. I don't believe in collective punishment. I deal with you as an individual. Therefore, white privilege is a lie. I've asked you very simply to show me the white person that has privilege over me. Nobody stood up. Do you think you have privilege over me?
Yes.
You're crazy. You're insane. You have no privilege over me. Let's make this absolutely positively clear. You have no privilege over me, and if you got it, show it to me right now.
My parents had generational wealth.
What's your privilege over me?
Exactly.
Well, you tell me.
Let her speak. Yeah, let her speak. Come on.
Shut up, boy. She's speaking.
If you don't mind doing me a favor and smashing that thumbs up button for your boy, it really goes a long way into helping these videos reach more people. And also, if this is not your first time watching one of the videos and you're not yet subscribed, hopefully this is the video in which I can earn your subscription. Let's get back to it.
My parents were able to own a house prior to 1960. Their parents were able to own a banking account. They were able to go directly to a bank. They were able to own a house. They were able to get a job, and all of that wealth accumulated through the generations onto my generation. So that is why I was able to. Yes.
You're crazy. You're insane. Yeah, that's crazy. You don't have any privilege over me.
Speak. Stand and speak. Speak. Speak.
Man, who are you?
Yeah. Sorry. I just get emotional.
You see a Christian? Go to your strength. Speak.
Go ahead.
If you don't know your strength, speak.
Yeah. I think you misunderstood me. I told you that I did not believe in white privilege as a punishment. I just meant it as an acknowledgement, as what crimes have done in the past. And then you came and attacked me for that. You are misconstruing what I am saying actively. It is not that I believe I'm better than you or that you are worse than me. I am not trying to punish anybody. I am acknowledging the system that exists.
Was there a question in that?
You don't need to cry.
I was responding to your statement that was untrue.
Which was?
You mentioned something about collective punishment.
Yeah.
I said nothing of the sort.
Okay, you're saying that your grandparents had privilege over me?
They had privilege over yours.
No, they didn't. You didn't know my
What?
parents. You didn't know my people, so you don't know that. There was a whole lot of people that were there. But right now, I'm talking about today. You see, again, listen. Hold it. Wait. Listen.
I'm done.
To what end is this to make white people do what? I mean, what is the end game of this? To do what? To make white people say they have privilege, and to what end? I mean, what do you want? Oh, I'm asking you, what do you want? What's the end game here?
I'm saying that I don't think we understand the difference between privilege and supremacy, because that is kind of what we're talking about. But what white privilege is
Don't lecture me, young man. What is your question? What's your question?
Please go to the back if you have a question.
What is your question, please?
Question.
I'm asking for a question because I'm here to take question, not to be lectured. What is the question?
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question. You mentioned you're a Christian
Yes.
and that's informed your faith.
Yes.
You also mentioned that during the times of slavery, when 200,000 slaves escaped,
Yes.
they did that because they worked hard. They did that because they tried. And was your implication there that the rest could have been free had they tried hard enough?
Well, yes. If you either kill your master, you leave, you fight. The same way that what they did in Haiti. They've done it all over the country many, many times. I've seen people that even when they were free, they decided to go back into slavery. We're doing it now every day. People are choosing slavery every day of their life right now. Hell is a choice. Slavery is a choice. Freedom is a choice. And when you get that in your mind, you then can change your circumstances. But if you think you have no power over your circumstances, if you really believe that somebody else has control of your life and you can't change it, you're already beaten. It's done. Frederick Douglass escaped because he believed he was a free man. Nobody had a right to keep him enslaved. Harriet Tubman did the same. But the ones that said, the master has all control over me, I have no choice, they stayed because they were mentally beaten. And when you are mentally beaten, he has to do nothing else to you. You've already beaten yourself. So the ones that decided to be free, the ones that decided to risk death or killed for their freedom, yes, they made a decision.
You believe Jesus died for our sins?
Yes.
Why did Jesus walk willingly to the cross?
Man, because he wanted to.
Yeah, white privilege. Normally when we talk about this stuff, I like to show stats and numbers. That's not what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go about this a little bit different way. Many of you might not know this, that 9 of the poorest counties in the entire nation, 9 of them are in this one small little part of the country, which is eastern Kentucky. In some of those counties, one being Owsley County, the poverty rate there is about 45%. So nearly half of the residents there live in absolute poverty, and across the Appalachian region, the poverty rate is about 25%. The average income there is about $35,000 a year across that region, and in eastern Kentucky as a whole, it's about $30,000. That's $16,000 less than the average income nationally across the country, right? Now, the left likes to say white privilege. When you think white privilege, you think upper middle class white people. You probably think a house and wealthy people. What you don't think about is these people here living in trailer parks in absolute poverty that's going to be absolute hell to get out of if you ever do. And look, I'm not saying that there wasn't inequalities in the past, right? Obviously, bad things were done to black people, to women, to gay people. This is not what I'm saying. These dirt poor people who live in eastern Kentucky, They don't have no economic privilege or educational privilege. Do you think that the poor white kid from Eastern Kentucky with his really thick Kentucky accent, living in the trailer park, when he applies for a job, do you think they take his resume and put him at the top of the pile? I don't think so. These people don't have good access to education. They don't have access to good health care in any of it. Nothing. Do you think the system is doing this kid a favor, this poor white kid in Eastern Kentucky? Absolutely not. The same way that a poor black kid in the inner city is going to be very hard for him to get out of absolute poverty as well. But there is no systematic privilege for this poor white kid in the trailer park. So anybody that uses the term white privilege today has forgotten the fact that there are millions and millions of very dirt poor white people who the system has totally forgotten about across the country. They're hit by floods all the time. They're hit by hurricanes. And does anybody care? No. Now, I'm not discounting that there is not something called privilege and that privilege doesn't exist. Privilege obviously does exist. Some people are better looking than others. They'll have a privilege. Some people are smarter than others. They'll have a privilege. There is something called privilege out there, right? There's economic privilege. If you're born from a wealthy family, it's going to be much easier for you to get a head start than if you're born one of these trailer park white kids in the Appalachian or a very poor black kid in the inner city. If you have money, you're going to get the best of the luxuries that you might need, the necessities that you might need in life. You're going to get better schooling, better health care. So that is a privilege. So there is an economic privilege, but nothing to do with race. But the deeper sense that I want to talk about of privilege here, because we talk about the black community, we talk about fatherless homes, and you look at the stats on fatherless homes, and a black kid and a white kid who are both born in the same social economic class, same neighborhood, if a black kid has two parents at home, he is statistically more likely to succeed and not end up in jail versus the white kid if the white kid didn't have a father in the household. So this is the privilege that I want to talk to you all about right now. And it's a privilege that I didn't grow up with any money when I was young, but I was the beneficiary of a privilege that was having both parents in the household. Now, growing up in the lower middle class, I guess at least I wasn't born dirt poor, a white dirt poor kid in a trailer park, so I did have some economic privilege. But my big privilege was that I lived with two parents that loved each other, that stayed married throughout my whole childhood until my father passed away, who put a big focus on my well-being, who cared for me, who taught me good morals, good ethics, who cared about my education, my moral formation as a person, as a human being. This is the real type of privilege that we should be talking about. This is the type of privilege that is missing in our society today. And if you have this, if you have two parents at home that care about you, that instill good morals in you, good ethics, who focus on your well-being, your moral formation, you're going to probably get a fairer shake in life. You're going to probably go for, now, if you're born in dirt poor poverty, no matter who you are, it's going to be hard to get out of that. That won't matter. Most people end up in the same social economics class when they die as they did when they were born. That's just a fact. It doesn't matter if you're a white person or a black person, Hispanic or Asian. That's most people. But when we look at the fatherless home rate and the broken home rates and the domestic violence and turmoil in the inner city and all the crime in the inner city, you look at 10,000 black people are killed every year, not by police officers, not by white people in the inner city, by other black people in these crazy drive-by shootings. Fatherless homes have a lot to do with that. And the same goes for poor white kids in the Appalachian region. Very poor white kids, you're going to find that there is domestic violence, more broken homes, more domestic turmoils in those neighborhoods. 70% of all black communities have fatherless homes. These kids are growing up with one parent in the house, and the inner city is even higher. For white people, the rate is lower, but it's creeping up there year by year, getting higher and higher, and we can see that. We can see it in the stats of what's happening as a cause of that. So when we talk about privilege today in 2024, the much deeper privilege that we should be looking at and saying, how can we fix this problem, is having a two-parent household taking care of their children and having the men not leaving their children and the women not marrying the government. Let's get back to it.
Hello, my name is Ben Bromwell. It's nice to meet you, Mr. Ellison. I'm a philosopher, and as such, I'm concerned with the philosophical content of your speech. Now, I came here for a talk about white privilege.
Yes.
My first question, I have a couple of questions. They're very simple, very short, can answer them with one sentence. So my first question is, can you define the term white privilege?
No, because it doesn't exist.
Then what have we been talking about this whole time?
That's a very good question, because it doesn't exist. It's like a unicorn or a leprechaun. It doesn't exist. It's all in your mind. It's a phantom.
Please, any question has to come through the line. Next question.
Okay, so if you can't define a term that you're talking about, then how can you be sure that when you talk about it, to other people, they all understand the same concept, right? As a professional in communications, you can see that I'm sure you understand that you have to communicate your message in such a way that the people who receive the communication understand what you have in mind when you say it. So, as such, it seems like this method is not very functional, so...
No, what I was talking about was what I believe to be their definition of white supremacy, of something that did not exist. And so I'm telling you that what you're talking about, so you can have a definition in your mind that Vince Ellison can fly like a jet plane. You can have that. I'm going to convince you that I can't do that. What you're talking about is impossible. It doesn't exist. You can believe it. You can actually believe I'm Superman. I can lift this building up and fly with it. And I'm going to walk in here and convince you you're wrong about that. I can't do that. Your ideology of me does not exist. This is, and I know that to be true. I know that white privilege does not exist. Some of you believe that it does. I'm convincing you that it does not. I don't have to believe it to believe that you believe it, and I'm convincing you that what you believe is not true.
So can you sum up your main single philosophical point?
White privilege is a lie.
You just used the term you said didn't exist.
The term exists, but the actual thing does not exist. You can say fairies exist. They don't. The word fairy exists, but fairies don't. White supremacy is like a fairy. It is a word that conjures up an imagination.
Can you define white privilege?
Yes.
Can you define white privilege for us quickly? That's not my main point. I just want to add that.
I think it is an imaginary term to give liberal white people a sense of superiority.
I think I need to specify.
A sense of inferiority.
I'm sorry. I think I need to specify. Can you define just the idea of white privilege, just like what they, in their own terms, the people who believe in white privilege believe?
I believe that white privilege is a term that gives white people a sense of inferiority and black people a sense of inferiority and acceptance in their failure.
Look, that was my main question, but so the U.S. Sentencing Commission. This is going on to my main point. The U.S. Sentencing Commission, a government agency, has uniformly published data recently that says that Black Americans receive 20% longer sentences than white Americans. Black Americans are denied bail 4% of the time, 4% more than white Americans. The fact that people treat you differently depending on your race is evidently clear, and I don't think you dispute that. So how can you explain those differences in sentencing lengths and in bail denial based on anything other than racial bias?
I come to find it has much more to do with money, class, and education. Because I live in a family with means, and we don't have those problems.
If I will, though, the common denominator there was race, not economic status.
You don't know that to be true.
That is.
You don't know that to be true. You don't know that to be true because you talked about race only. If you look at the economics, and if you look at the income, you look at the educational status of the people also. It could be also education. Did you study the economics and the educational? Did you study those? Did you study those? Did you study those? No, you didn't. That's what you were looking for. That's what you were looking for. It's also economics. It can also be, you see, he ran like a coward like they all do. It's also economics. It's also education. It's also socioeconomic conditions also. Because I come from a black family, and we are a family of means and education, and we don't have those problems.
See, he's getting quite frustrated there with the questions. Look, to the left, racism equals white supremacy. They think all white people are racism, your denial of your racism is proof of your racism, and that racism is a uniquely white phenomenon. Of course, if you believe that racism is a uniquely white phenomenon, you're forgetting that there is a whole other world outside of the U.S. that exists, in which countries are tremendously racist when we look at countries like China, we look at countries like India. But the young lady, she said that more white people are represented in Congress, but that is because of sheer numbers. A majority of the population is going to be represented at a higher amount because they are a majority of the population. Black population is 13% of the American population. Therefore, they should be represented in most cases at all levels in lesser numbers than, say, white people. That's just on numbers. It's raw numbers, not racism. A minority of the population is going to be a minority in most institutions. Mathematical inevitability. But we had a black president for 8 years. You cannot tell me that the country is systematically racist today when the highest position in the country was held by a black man. You can scoff at that all you want, but scoffing is just the absence of an argument. You can't say that blacks have no institutional power when, the most powerful position in the world was held by a black man. It's incoherent. And you want to talk about laws? Is the country a white supremacist country? Talk about laws. Are there any laws that explicitly favor white people in America? None. No laws, zero, that explicitly favor whites. You cannot find one. It does not exist. But there are laws or policies that explicitly disfavor white people when you look at affirmative action. You cannot provide an example of affirmative action that explicitly favors white people in 2024. Doesn't happen, doesn't exist, can't be done. In America today, you can't tell me that there's white privilege, not because of your skin color. Look, was there redlining? Was there laws in the past that were bad? Sure. I'm talking about today. If you go into a bank today as a black person, Hispanic person, white person, Asian person, you meet all the criteria, you're going to get a loan. What do you think, the bank doesn't want to make money? You think you're going to deny you a loan based on your skin color? Absolutely not. It's not going to happen. Just look around you. Not all institutions are run by white people. Not all institutions are dedicated to the advancements of white people. None are. Incredible. Let's get back to it.
So anyways, like I was saying, when you mentioned abortions, I wanted to understand why you said it in such a manner as if you have control over a woman's body of what to do, because in my personal belief and opinion, when it comes down to abortions, if a woman does not want to have a child, you cannot force her. That creates broken homes, one. You can't force someone who's been raped, sexually assaulted to have a child that they do not want. Are you going to be able to take care of that child, every person, of color, of not? Are you going to be able to be there for that child and say, yeah, I forced your mother because of laws that are created by people like you wanted to force people to have something that they did not want? Please, I want to understand why you think abortions is not a choice that women should have anymore.
Yeah, you have control of your body. We just tell you not to, you can do what you want with it. Right. You just say you want not to do with the baby's body. That's one. Number two, when you start talking about rape and all that and all that other stuff, if you have to go home tonight and your mom makes a confession to you and tells you that your uncle had too much Jack Daniels one night and that he raped her and you were born, do you go home and blow your own brains out?
I'm not done.
Because you don't think that because of how you came into this world.
We have two other people waiting.
Okay, and I waited patiently, did I not?
We will leave the line in order for her to continue
because that's
to
not
ask
nice.
her question.
I waited patiently for everybody else. You're going to tell me I cannot say more than one question?
We only have a scheduled amount of time left.
First of all, y'all was late, so I don't know what you're talking about. We was here early. Y'all were late. So if you want to get into timing, that's on you.
We were actually rushing them.
My second question is, when you said it was a privilege for us to be black, like you said, every race, every ethnic is privileged to be what they are. I personally do not believe so, and I wanted to ask why you believe so, because even though I feel personally privileged to be black, people around me do not have that same thing. They do not have that same thinking. We do not all think the same. Because if I walk in front of a police officer right now and I pull out my phone, I am likely to get shot. So are you. So I want to understand just why you cannot see that. I know that you feel invincible, but you have to understand when police brutality comes, when the police comes in front of you, you are still a black man.
No, man, I don't have those experiences because of how I carry it's a human element. How I carry myself and how I deal with people. I'm a respectful man. I don't have any problems like that.
One last question. I just don't understand why he's silencing me when I waited patiently. Like, that's very rude.
But I do think that Black Lives Matter and a lot of these black leaders are teaching young black men how to get shot by being disrespectful, being mean, being hoodlum-like, and it's just a bad thing that happens out there. Me, as I said before, I'm 61 years old. I don't have a problem with police, never have. And it's not because I walk around afraid of them at all. If there's a human element involved, I treat them with respect. They treat me with respect. We end up being friends most of the time. And again, I've learned that if you treat men with respectfully, they'll treat you the same way in return. Now, every now and again, you're gonna find a fool out there. You will find him. And he's gonna be a racist, he's gonna be ignorant. But this is why I'm always amazed that people don't wanna be armed and wanna give their guns up. I mean, you say that the police are chasing you, and what's your solution to the problem? Give your guns up. Why don't you just blow your own brains out? I think if the police are chasing me, I'd want more guns. So I don't have a problem with police. If I thought I had one, I'd be armed so that I could defend myself.
All right. It's time for the last question of the night. It's not you. You're done.
Sir, who are you talking
We have one last question.
Yo, can I ask my last question? Relax, fam. Anyways, like I was saying, my last question, when it comes on to slavery being a choice, I don't really understand how that's a choice because we fought so hard. The same God you're talking about, my people had to pray to for us to be able to get free. The same people that you're talking about was a choice. I don't think we could have gathered everybody to believe, you know, let's fight against our master and be free this exact instant. Because if that was the case, you don't think we all would have fought for freedom? Nobody willingly picked cotton out of the floor, wanted to live this life that I know have to suffer because of a generational curse. I just can't understand how that's a choice. I do not have the choice here to be right now, to be degraded for generations. I don't think that's a choice. Me being here right now in this PWI is a privilege. Why? Because I worked my ass off to get here. So I want you to understand that, and I want my people to get recognition because everything they did, we deserved. We prayed to God, the same God you're talking about. I'm a Christian too. I remember praying to. I pray for my people. My ancestors prayed for me to get here. So I want that to be acknowledged. Thank you.
What I would advise is that you start thinking like a slave then, and start thinking more like a Christian.
No. I'm not thinking like a slave. I'm saying I'm acknowledging, I'm grateful for my ancestors that have fought long and hard for me to be here. That's not thinking like a slave. What they have done in the past, I cannot do anything about it but thank them that I am here now to sit in front of the bus, to eat anywhere I'd like, to do anything I want, and sit my ass in this seat right here to attend this PWI.
I'm so happy that you feel good about yourself and that you're making white people like you. But that's not my concern. My concern is loving myself, making sure that I love them. If they like me or not is irrelevant. I'm not here to prove a point to them or anyone else. I'll prove a point to my God. We spend too much time being concerned about how other people view us. And if they don't like us, we feel bad about ourselves. Our past is our past. Nobody's past is perfect. There were people that did you wrong in your past, people that did you right in your past, but they're always individuals. There are individuals that helped you, white and black, individuals that hurt you, white and black. We look at the individual. We deal with the individual. I don't believe in collective punishment. I don't believe in collective misery. I believe that I'm going to have white people that treat me well, Asian people that treat me well, Jewish people that treat me well, and then those same individuals will be on the other side who treat me badly. I will deal with every man based upon his character. And to me, I think that's proper.
Young lady here is talking about black police crimes. If the media covered the shootings of whites by police as intensely and with as much monomaniacal intensity as they do the shootings of black people, you would think that they were living through an epidemic of racially biased police shootings of white people. Perception is everything, and it's done by the media. Police officers in this country today encounter much more frequently armed, violent, and resisting suspects than ever before. And yet, looking at the data from like 2022, there were six allegedly unarmed black men killed by the police. 6. And I say the word allegedly because this data is collected by the Washington Post, and they are very liberal in how they define the term unarmed. I mentioned earlier in the video, over 10,000 black people are killed every year by other black people, not by the police, not by white people, compared to 6 unarmed blacks that were shot by police who not all police were white. Would I want anybody to be shot by the police that was unarmed? No, absolutely not. But the numbers are not what people say they are. Absolutely ridiculous. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash that thumbs up button. Consider subscribing to the channel. Help it grow. Catch you all in the next video. Peace out, everybody.